Hello 10A, I hope that you're very well. I just wanted to give you some feedback today. So I've got some of your research and I'm just having a look at 3 today to give everybody a little bit of feedback. So please make sure that you listen to the entire of this video, because there is homework at the end of it that you will need to complete. Also some top tips as to whether you want to get strong marks for these as well. So thank you for all of those who have actually completed their documents so far. The first thing I wanted to say that some of you I can see are using either copying and pasting other people's work or you are copying and pasting from other documents. I do not want you to do this. Now you'll see, I can see that it's copied and pasted. Can you see here where there's no background, but here there is a background? This is an indication that you've copied something, okay? It's not okay, and I will have to mark you down when I see that as well. One of you as well, I could see that you've used a translator. In fact, you translated it into Spanish, not into English. So if you're going to use a translator, which you should never ever do in my class, make sure that you're using the right language, okay? Do not use a translator, never ever ever in my class. The purpose of you having me as your teacher is to teach you English. I'm not here to teach you how to use a translator. I think you can figure that out yourself. What we're doing here in 10 level 1 is giving you a foundation so that eventually you can go abroad, have a great time at university, have excellent English levels. And if you have fantastic English levels, you're going to get a better job. Being able to speak Chinese or Mandarin, as we call it in the West, and being able to speak English, you've got the 2 biggest languages on earth. And if you can speak both of them well, you're much more competitive than your students that are doing their Gaokao and that are just going to go to a normal university in China. So it's really important that you don't waste this time, okay? So please, 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 no more translators. If you need to understand a word, use an English to English dictionary or an English to English thesaurus. I can't stress this enough. And it's a bit disappointing. I keep saying the same thing and you're still using translators, okay? I will start marking you down. So you'll get a negative point, which means that your whole course score for your classes is going to go down. If you perform really well in my classes, you will get an A, okay, for class performance, which will make your parents happy. And that's what we all want. So again, I don't want to see any more translation. If I see it, I'll be very angry. And we know that we don't like angry Fiona. Okay, so today I wanted to give some feedback on your research. Now, this is Tracy's. Thank you, Tracy. I'm terribly sorry I'm using yours as an example. I hope you don't mind. But you can see Tracy here. I think that she's done some copying. Rather than copying, just write in your own words, okay? It's just to practice your English skills. I don't want any more copy and paste, all right? I like how Tracy here has used short sentences or short comments, which shows that she's got strong note-taking skills. Tracy has looked at some good questions, so length, weight, life habit. This is a little bit limited. When it said life habits, I'm not sure what you mean by that. And if you scroll down, you can see that I've given some feedback. I think what you're looking at is how do they interact with their communities? For instance, their other porpoises. Do they live in families? Do they live alone? Are they friends with their families? Are they friends with other groups? For instance, if wolves come into action with other tribes of wolves, they don't get along very well, and there's usually a fight over that territory. Whereas dolphins, if they meet up with other groups, they usually get along quite well. The next one, I've said, how do they procreate? So how do they have babies? For instance, do they, is there one male and one female and they mate for life the way that penguins do? Or are they more like, I'm not sure, other animals that dogs, for instance, they don't have one mate for life. The female is often impregnated by men with different males throughout their lives. How long do the mothers look after their babies? Whales, for instance, look after their small ones for a very long time. Birds, some birds that you can maybe hear in the background here, they feed their babies for 2 years, which is crazy. Another one some of you have missed out is, why are they endangered? So what's happening? Are people eating porpoises? Are they hunting porpoises? Is it an environmental issue? This is really important. because what you're talking about is endangered species. So we need to know why they're endangered and what's happening to have caused that endangered situation. And finally, how can we save them? So I'm going to go over to Michelle's now. This is a really good one here, which said why the green turtle is endangered and how to protect them. So this information is really important, and she knows that she can go back to this website when she wants to if she needs to find more information about that, and I'm really, really happy with that. Another one that Michelle has included, which I thought was very important, is the population estimate. So we can see how many there is at the moment. What I would actually suggest is that we have a look at what the estimate was 10, 20, 30 years ago in comparison to what it is now. And that way we can see the decline of the amount of sea turtles, which means that we can relate that to why they're endangered and what's actually happening. Again, I would like to learn, you can see up here I've done personality types, what other animals they relate to, how many species are there. This information I haven't really seen anyone have, and I think it's really important. So find out a little bit more. I really want to understand the animal. The reason being is, remember, you're going to be doing a presentation on this as well. So you're going to be doing a 5-minute presentation with a 3-minute discussion at the end of that. So this information, it's really important that you have as much as possible, because not only is it for your description, but it's also for the presentation itself, okay? So make sure that you get as much as possible. These are really good websites, so I'm very happy with those as well. So thank you, that's a really good example, Michelle. I think we need to have a look at a boy. So again, so Blaine, I think this is Blaine, yeah, Blaine. The problem here, we don't have the date retrieved. So when we're doing our referencing, this is going to be a big, big, big problem, okay? The reason we need to know the date retrieved is that we need to understand whether it was a long time ago or recently, so we can compare that data. So we don't really know whether it's up to date. So this is really essential. The other thing is the article title. I'm sure the article was not called Snow Leopard. This one, for instance, says Snow Leopard Facts. Generally, the article will have a name to it. Let's just see if this one opens for me. Okay. Okay, so I just called this the Snow Leopard Facts. This is it's not a bad website. It's a bit limited, to be honest, because it's just a fact sheet, which is what you're going to be doing, but still very, very relevant. However, I would definitely suggest making sure that you can find the title of it as well. So appearance, why do they have habits? This information, I think, is very limited. Catch food, same as cheetah, so that doesn't tell me. So if I don't know what a cheetah is, how do I know how they're catching food? So you need to be specific to the snow leopard. Do they hunt? Do they hunt in the daytime? Do they hunt in the nighttime? Do they hunt up trees? Do they hunt down in caves? So information. What kind? Cat kind. That's not a kind. So you need to say, so it would probably fall under mammal, because it is a warm-blooded animal, but you need to find, it would probably fall under the feline species. So if we go back over here, we talked about describing. So this would be describing and class, oh no, share screen, sorry. Okay, so we've got describing and classifying, all right? So again, we need to make sure, identify, is it a mammal, is it a fish, is it a reptile? And we did all this classification, so that's my expectation, is that you actually give me the classification of the animal as well. We need to be as scientific as possible. So Blaine, thank you, you got your work in on time, and I really appreciate that. I can see you've made a lot of effort, but we do need to be as scientific as possible. So make sure that you try and find information that's going to have a lot of scientific evidence. So if we go back to Tracy. So it is produced in October, 1 per litre. So reproducing, again, I need more information. So you're saying that how long are they pregnant for? They only give birth, it seems, in October, and 1 per litre. I'm sure you don't know what that means, which is because you copied and pasted this. 1 per litre means that there is only 1 animal produced each time, so they can only have 1 baby at a time. Kittens, for instance, I had a cat when I was little, and that cat had 9 kittens 1 year. So my expectation, I need to get a higher level of information from you guys, all right? Let's see if I can find someone else. You can see I don't have that many people here. Let's have a look. Jasmine, what have you been doing? Okay, this is good. Canary on the Sea. Again, I'm not getting any emotive facts. So if you're going to talk about endangered animals, which you need to do in your presentation, and it's going to be important in your description, it's not just about all of the boring information like what they look like, what colour their eyes are, what they eat. It's about who they are, how they interact, some interesting qualities about them as well. So I'd really prefer you to try and get more information about their personalities, how they interact with other animals, why they're endangered, and how we can stop that endangerment. Okay, so these things are really important to include in your information. So I would like you all to try and include a bit more. So why endangered? Some information about personality, maybe an interesting fact, how they procreate, their family life. Okay, a little bit more information. So I'll go back to Tracy's to have a look at the feedback that I gave her, because this is going to be relevant for pretty much everybody. So why they're endangered, how we can save them, how they interact with their communities, and just something interesting about them. So it's really important that the person that's reading this is interested in the animal, because if they're interested, maybe they'll want to help save them as well. Okay, so once you've completed all of this and you've included a little bit more information for me, the next task that we need to do is to create our animal description data sheet. Now, this is just an example that I've created for you, and this you are actually going to bring into class when you do your actual description assessment. So as I said, this is just an example. If it were me, I'd probably include maybe an interesting fact. So you can include here interesting fact. And I'm happy for you to add a couple of more parts if you wish to, okay? So this is all of the information you are allowed to bring into the assessment. So if you have a look up here, it's very similar to what we did with the African elephant. So similar information, and from that information, we'll be able to create a description, okay? So what you need to do is from this, you find the information from your research helper, and you pop your information into your description. I will send this document out to you. You also need to include 3 of the main references where you got the information, because you can put that onto your description at the bottom as well. We'll make sure that we do that in the correct format for GAC. So that's all you need to do for this homework. So I need you to complete this for me and make sure that you've got all of the information that I've required for this. And again, I know I keep repeating myself, but there's going to be a 5-minute presentation. So you need to make sure that you really know your animal. Find out some interesting facts about them. Animals are fascinating, really interesting. I'd even just go, interesting fact about snow leopard. They're the only big cats called the cats of the desert. They're often called ghosts of the mountains because you can't see them. Their fur on their stomachs is nearly 5 inches thick. That's gross, but again, very interesting. So there's so many ways that you can get a little bit more information, something a little bit more interesting, and that's going to help you with your next assessment. This information is also going to be for your presentation. You'll need to put it onto a PPT for me. Okay, so I can't iterate that enough. I think that's all we were going to do today. You know that you've got your fact sheet, and as I said, add a couple of things. However, they can only be dot points, the same as when we looked at the, here we are. When you look at this one, you will see that there are no sentences, okay? They're only notes. You cannot bring sentences into the assessment. So this is what you're going to be doing for me. I will send it through to you with this assessment. Please feel free to WeChat me if you're confused at all. I would love to get an updated version of your research helper to improve both your description as well as your final assessment for your presentation. As I said, always on WeChat, give me a shout if there's anything I can help you with. Thank you very much for all your hard work so far, and I will speak to you again very soon.